I won't lie. I was planning to cast a completely different match that I had already picked out from the Discord channel, which is always, of course, linked down below in the description section, for today's daily cast of Beyond Our Reason, and then this one came across my dashboard. It was sent on over to me by one of the players that was playing in this match. I won't reveal who, for spoiler's sake, but as soon as I saw the lineup of players playing in this game, I knew that I was going to have to cast it. So welcome aboard, everybody, to the Brightworks once more, where today we're going to be taking a look at an extremely high-level game of Beyond All Reason. If ever there was a time to call a match a pro-level match of Beyond All Reason, I think this match probably qualifies. I know that's a little bit of a fast and loose definition that I often give for what qualifies as pro-level, quote-unquote. I know you can't see me doing the quotes, but I hope it's understood that I'm doing air quotes, even though you can't see them. This is probably the highest level game of Beyond All Reason. The highest level, as far as ratings go anyway, match of Beyond All Reason I've seen in quite some time. So, with all that introduction in front of us, why don't we go ahead and meet our red team leader, spawning as an Armada commander and going into some vehicles right here on the front line. Well, it's all front line on this map today. Our map of choice going to be Salt Reef, a very cool one that we'll get into in just a moment. It's our red commander that goes by the name of Lord Fivehead. Lord Fivehead, also known, well, among the community, amidst the community as Dot, going to be playing here as the red commander at 51.79 open skill, setting the bar extremely high. Pun well intended here, but spawning on the other side of the map as the blue commander. Did I spoil it? Did you get a glimpse of who the blue commander is? It's gonna be none other than Yuri, aka Chisato, a multiple-time tournament winner, a fan favorite, a Beyond All Reason heavy hitter, one of those commanders that you see on the enemy team and your heart sinks. Today it's going to be the blue commander in, I was playing as Armada here. Going to be playing some good old-fashioned Armada bots, actually, which is very cool to see, and going to be showing us exactly what that pro-level gameplay does look like. Now, Chisato clocking in at 53.5 open skill. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm already tripping over my words here because I'm so excited to see these commanders face off against each other here. Yuri going to be playing on this northern side. So it does mean that the red and blue commanders are kind of opposite of each other. Basically the exact, in fact, literally the exact same position here. Except, well, yeah, on the opposite sides of the map. That's just the way that this map is balanced, the way that it's played. We already have a transport. What are we, oh, is that a pawn? Are we transporting a single pawn across the map? Alright, we've got pawns and planes already, just showing off how much APM these pros have to spare. They're free to send these planes across in micro little units in planes. And, lovely stuff. I mean, yeah, this is super, super annoying, because suddenly just one pawn up on this high ground can deny a whole bunch of different expansions, right? Like, if we want to go for an LLT, if we want to go for maybe, like, a radar tower or anti, or any kind of building up here, including dropping constructors up here, is another extremely, common tactic among the pros on this map. The pawn denies it all, so this is a great play right here from the red commander. Likewise, we are dropping a con up on this high ground where we will capture these metal extractors, and it looks like we're even going to use the transport again to potentially move the commander, or pardon me, the constructors forward. Will we actually go for the build power? It'd be kind of cool to see the build power move forward here. Yeah, we're keeping this constructor around right here as Dot is queuing up a whole bunch of wind turbines. This can only mean, in my mind, that we're planning to move the laboratory forward and basically relinquish this base to just building a whole bunch of energy production in the backline. It's a super popular strategy because, of course, it moves the defender's advantage, well, up to the offense, where you can use those units immediately as soon as they roll off the production line. But anyway, enough talking about the strategy, about the theory. Why don't we take a look at what's actually happening out on the map? The Powder Blue Commander, Potato von Habsburg, one off from the lowest rated commander on this team, the lowest tier Jiren, coming in, or Jarion, the Lavender commander, clocking in here at 19 open skill and 4 chevron. So not even bad. Like, that is not a, that's a mid-level open skill value right there. It's nothing to scoff at. And yeah, already going to be, well, it just sets the bar, sets the minimum bar here for the blue team. And slightly the higher than that, a 23 open skill, the brown commander here. It's going to be Checksum. No corrupted bits on this commander's bites. We got Checksum rolling forward here, or stepping forward here. Dot already queuing up the T2 laboratory. What a monster. What a monster indeed. Yeah, has the mexes and then goes straight into a little bit of build power in the T2 laboratory. I guess we're just going to co-op it. I mean, why not, right? These commanders aren't really needed on the front line. The orange commander can effectively hold this with just the units that are out on the front. Droid and Chronopolize haven't really put on too much pressure. There have been some skirmishes here and there, but the red spots are picking up these armies, and now there's, yeah, just enough forces along with the LLTs to hold on to this front. Some phenomenally efficient trades right here. The brown commander contributing some pawns as well to defend all the aggravators. Okay. I mean, it's aggressive. It's super, super aggressive. This is about as aggressive of a T2 transition for a frontliner map that you could ever hope for. But if this comes up, and if this comes up successfully, it can be a huge advantage right now for the red team. Very cool to see. Meanwhile, metal extractors, anti-air turrets, all sorts of stuff being set up over here. We're going to build a whole bunch of LLTs as well, just to dissuade in case any commanders get creative and start building LLTs or laboratories or whatever. Sometimes that's a strategy that can work. Not going to be happening here, though, as that constructor goes ahead and shuts a lot of that down. Missile trucks here trying to find whatever value they can. The rocket bots, likewise, dancing around here in the midsection of the map, trying to find that beautiful connection. They want to fire one big volley into one of these trucks at a time to try and blast it off the face of this planet. But so far, they have not found much success. We have some walls coming up. I actually like this play a lot. The rocket bots are just tall enough to shoot over the walls, but just short enough that the missile truck missiles will actually hit the walls. So they can take cover behind walls, and it increases their durability tenfold. They're extremely, extremely durable if you use them that way. And so I like to see that that's what the Marine Commander is going for. In other words, just porking up the defenses here for a little while until we can get some of those heavier hitting bots rolling out to the front line. We do have Maces queued up and rolling out, marching their way up to the fronts. And we have that T2 lab already about halfway done. Okay. What a greedy play right here from the red commander. Units, I don't need them. Luis B288, yeah, he's going to hand over the red commander, the one that's already damaged, and this one will be sacrificed. It's the little bits of micro that count, but they do go a long way, because as soon as this commander, of course, is sacrificed, it'll be the last 1,000 metal or so that is needed in order to, yeah, go ahead and boost out this laboratory. In the meantime, the laboratory in the back, of course, is being eaten up, and now we're just building those wind turbines. Right now, wind speed is plummeting, so it is going to be a little bit of an energy shortage across the board for both of these teams. Did we have a little bit of metal sharing as well? I don't see any, actually. Looks like this is just straight-up eco from the red commander. Okay. An impressive timing, certainly. For a regular eco player, you would have this T2 laboratory done about at the 6-minute mark, so this is only about a minute or so after you would normally get that T2 up. But there we go, 94% of the way there. I'm reading the chat here. T2 where? What? Red Commander a little bit concerned that there's T2 on the field. We do have salamanders rolling out of a T2 laboratory. Up on the... No, sorry, that's not where they're coming out of. Where are these salamanders coming from? Oh, there they are. Oh, look at that. An amphibious laboratory in the water. Well, cheeky play berants a... what is it? Cheeky play begets another cheeky play. The salamanders rolling out of an amphibious lab that's been set up on the water right here by the purple commander Spooter and are now heading towards the main base, or the main eco center here of the red team. Yeah, this is a horrible situation. I would agree with the red commander that this is not good. Salamanders are quite tough to paralyze, so the shuriken are going to have a really hard time shutting those down. And of course, they also do a decent amount of damage. They're relatively quick. They have a lot of HP. Everything is going for them to blast apart these metal extractors. A huge hit so far. And more of them are rolling out of the water as we speak. Shuriken eventually going to be able to paralyze one of these, but see how hard these Shuriken have to work just to paralyze one of these? It's horrible. Means the Shuriken really are not a fabulous answer to the amphibious assault units like this. Trying to get the D-guns. Fighters are pulled here to sweep away a whole bunch. Are those fighters? Oh no, those are, oh yeah, there they are, okay. They're lavender fighters, very close to red, very close to the pink here. Fighters will sweep away the shurikens, meaning that these will be dealt with. Means the follow-up salamanders are moving in. More and more of these T2 units rolling out the field, though. Mauser are the initial weapon of choice right here. They're relatively inexpensive, so they make for a wonderful first unit. 320 metal is just a little bit more expensive than a medium tank, but they can reach out and do a ton of damage to these early commanders. They can really crack through these T1 static defenses, and of course, they're also quite good against T1 units. They do a massive amount of damage in a huge AoE. They're the perfect tool for breaking through these early static lines, if you can get them out before those T2 heavy hitters like the Czars, like the... I guess Banishers are kind of on that list as well. Maroon Commander falls here. We do have the T2 Laboratory pumping out, again, Mauser over here for the Yellow Commander, trying to use those very cheap artillery pieces to blast through this composition pushing forward. But TM Nitsua, the Green Commander, the second in command here for the blue team, will be eager to eat up all that metal and, of course, send it back to his teammate who's producing those T2 units. Salamanders continuing to cause trouble right here. Beamer turrets and just a little bit of build power. It does survive. Will be enough to rebuild from the ashes. The Salamanders tried their very best, but they didn't manage to pull it off. Now the Ticks should be able to clean this up. There we go. Not bad right there. The Ticks clean all that up. The Mauser, of course, are firing into the distance here, trying to trade out against whatever they can. We really need some assault units on the front, though. We need maces, or better yet, even just a whole bunch of grunts or pawns on the front to absorb a bunch of this damage. Meanwhile, green forces have pushed into the base. Yellow Commander definitely feeling the burn right there as we lose a bunch of those T2 Mauser. But the Shuriken make great work of shutting all this down. And all of a sudden, yeah, these T2 units are going to roll out the line, and they're going to be very, very powerful. Bulls at 950 metal apiece, but if you can pay for them with the corpses of your enemy's trucks, then they're definitely pretty cheap. Their costs definitely outweighed by their tremendous effect. Love the cheeky little salamander running around over here. They're just paralyzing whatever they can, making these fights ever so slightly more efficient. Man, salamander are good, though. When they can lock onto a target and just blast away in unison, they can really melt down targets that you would otherwise have a really hard time dealing with. Commanders, of course, on that list. Ooh, Eagle 876 manages to get in for the D-gun. Only gets the missile trucks, though. Oh, that's a brutal hit right there. The Mauser are just barely out of range. Ooh, the Salamanders get away with the kill without even dying. They have so much HP, and that's a commander down. An extra 1,000 metal going back into the bank. Ooh, the Bull. The Bull getting dangerously close over here. Ooh, D-gun, he barely manages to dodge it. That's a really important dodge right there, because this Bull is basically the only defense against these Salamanders, and of course the commander moving forward now. Uni knows that this is a huge hit. Yeah, there we go. Bull goes down. That's nearly 1,000 metal down on the front here. That's a gigantic loss for the red team. On this northern side, we're going to suddenly need a whole bunch of support units to deal with, well, the fact that our high-quality T2 units can just be erased from existence with a single 500 energy blast. Shuriken coming in once more. Choking on how beautiful this match is. Shuriken coming in once more to help with the assist here. Bull's going to do a lovely job of cleaning all this up. The front line still standing. Yeah. Agitator now firing away here. It is a peculiar sort of way of dealing with the Mauser. It does technically work. It outranges them. As long as you have the means to lock onto them, the means to spot them, they really can be quite effective. A whole bunch of ticks running northwards here. I'm not sure where they're headed. There is an LLT over here, so they're going to take a little bit of damage. There's actually quite a few LLTs on their pathway here, so they're going to be whittled away at quite nicely. Yeah, they're running for safety. Just barely squeaking through, but alright. From that horde of ticks, we have 5 survivors. Now making it towards the back line over here. And there's no defenses. This is all wind turbines and whatnot in the back right here for the Cyan Commander. Medium tank's going to be the best bet, but those are going to take a minute to get there. At least one metal extractor goes down, but I expect to see a little bit more. Mauser now rolling out here for the green players, Victor and TM Nitsua. Both of which enjoying the luxuries of having those T2 units that can fire away from such long range and be really, really efficient against a whole bunch of those other T2 units. Nice D-guns right there from the yellow commander, but it puts the commander in a really rough spot. The LLT got so much free damage right there. Oh, just barely the yellow commander escapes with his life. Opens up this northern lane here, though. Commander went down up there already, so it does mean these salamanders can start to push through. We've got ticks on ticks on ticks. It's all ticks. All the way down. And I'm not really in love with it. I think the ticks have basically been completely countered here. Salamander's rather good against them. Despite the red team's really rapid T2 transition, they haven't managed to get that foothold that they really needed. The red team paying for their T2 quickly to try and get an early lead on the tech transition. The blue team just pushing forward and paying for their T2 transition with the corpses that they scavenge from the remains of the red team. It's an effective strategy, and a brutal one at that. Bombers, at the very least, trying to find some value here. Lurking around. Were those bombers? Oh no, just regular fighters. Okay, never mind. Fighters just here to clear up the airspace then, make sure those shurikens can't get too much more value. Lightning tanks and salamanders in combination doing a wonderful job against a whole bunch of these units. The medium turrets, the beamer laser turrets, trying their very best. I mean, they're alright. When they have a near-perfect flank, they can actually do some serious damage, really stupid damage. But they just don't quite have it. T2 Laboratory on the front, always a risk to have these exposed bombers. Ooh, colliding with a decent portion of the green base right there, not bad. Bombers want one more target here. They do manage to bomb the Lavender Commander out of existence as well. Looks like the Cyan Commander took a heavy hit as well. There was bombers, I knew it. My bomber sense was tingling. Anybody who's played Bar long enough knows exactly what I'm talking about. That irksome feeling that bombers are on the way. Rocket Spiders. Inducing a similar reaction, certainly. They're very dangerous and can oftentimes be one of the ways that you lose an entire front line. Commander goes down over here on this line. Looks like it was the green commander, Victor 10, 11, 12. Victor 12. This is a lot of metal. If we could get production up and running again. Oh, nice D-guns up here, by the way. A bunch of Jaguar tanks do fall. The lightning tanks. So much damage in the backline, though. This burns badly. One Jaguar tank. Ooh, the Rocket Spider manages to kill the tank. That's very lucky. That Rocket Spider really shouldn't have killed that tank right there. That was effectively just good luck from the Brown Commander that even happened. The other lightning tanks still up and running right here. Going to have a wonderful time against the ticks. Really doesn't care about those at all. Okay. Rattlesnakes coming up wherever here. The red commander just trying to put them up on high ground, so they're really annoying to deal with. Several thousand, in fact, probably about 6,000 metal, I would say. Call it 10,000 metal lying in the wreckage field right here in front of the Maroon base. We're losing our res bots to the tanks that are pushing forward here. We really need to start reclaiming. Eat up all this metal and send it back to one of the commanders with the T2 laboratory, and it's going to be a wonderful effect for your team. They can start handing you over units. Your trades are going to be that much more efficient. Things are just going to start looking better. You'll be handsomer. I hear that's an effect. It's important not to be too greedy and beyond no reason. Oftentimes, the less greedy team will win. That is to say, the team that greeds less against themselves. Obviously, you should be quite greedy against your opponent. Take up all the land, all the metal extractors, all the reclaim. Yeah, tanks handed over here to the yellow commander. Love to see it from Dot here. Handing over a bunch of those Jaguar lightning tanks to Teriyaki Tilo, who does not have a base and therefore not the energy to fire these. But in spirit, this is a really good idea. The question is, who's going to start the eco-scaling? I see room for fusion reactors back here with about 4 or 5 construction turrets. One fusion reactor is pretty much right on par. I can see the green commander going into one of those as well. Wind speed, not terrible on this map, but definitely not ideal either. So moving into fusions does make a lot of sense, especially considering how inexpensive they are, at least relative to that T2 economy that most of these commanders, in fact, all of these commanders are up to at this point. Here's a cheeky economy hidden up in the hillsides right here. We have a little bit of light anti-air, but frankly, nowhere near enough to actually defend this if it was bombed, for instance. But it is going to be providing a ton of energy to the blue commander, and by proxy, the blue team here. Rattlesnakes up on the hills are doing so much good work, though. You'll notice they're put back a little ways so that they can't be de-gunned by commanders. It's a wise decision right there by the red commander. Agitator still firing away over here. Area control plasma artillery with 3 kills to its name. Still agitating, as always. Luis B288 in a little bit of trouble here. Radar truck, replacement radar truck makes its way up to the front line, so it does mean that they will be able to see the outline of this commander, the little dot, the radar blip. All of a sudden, this northern side is actually looking pretty good. Yeah, Resbots have resurrected, or, well, they've res to the lab, and they've reclaimed a whole bunch of everything else here. Would love to see this T2 Con and its assistant, oh, I guess it's just transport. I'd love to see this T2 Con going around to upgrade these metal extractors. Abby Uyala, the Tan Commander, a name that I remember and fear. Trying to make good work of rebuilding all these metal extractors, and I'd love to see it. Lightning tanks thinking about getting aggressive over here. There's actually not a lot of static defense. There's beamer turrets and definitely some lightning turrets over here as well. But along this northern ridge, there's not a whole lot that's actually stopping these tanks from moving forward and getting some value. They're quite low in HP, and that's something to be well aware of. I can't help but wonder if, though, if we've gone well beyond what is efficient into the investment of salamanders. Salamanders are effectively wonderful against T1 units, decent against T2 units, and rather horrendous against T3. At this point in the game, you have to start thinking of switching into heavier units, either the poison arrows or even something even heavier than that, like a Tsar. Don't think the salamanders are really what we want at this point. We will be going into, it looks like, a couple of negotiators. Do we have any anti-nukes? No anti-nukes for either team. Wow. Always gets me a little bit excited whenever I see that, because, of course, that means there's the potential for a nuclear bomb. Will it ever actually happen? Well, it certainly has happened to me, that's for sure. Any commander left to their own devices for long enough does eventually build a nuclear missile. The catharsis of landing a nuclear missile in your enemy's base is second to none. Lightning tanks finding their angle. Rattlesnake here continuing to fire away as well, doing a wonderful job of blasting away at a bunch of these units. Salamanders have moved into position, but the concave is phenomenal here for the red commander, and as well, to just have the numbers. So it does mean that the Salamanders will lose this fight rather easily. All of a sudden, there's red tanks in the backline. Okay. Well, this position went from questionable at best to impressive. Now the red commander's moving in with a whole bunch. I don't know why I keep repeating the red commander. Dot is moving in with a whole bunch of these Jaguar lightning tanks ready to rip and tear this base apart until it is all done. For the most part, though, blowing up on the E-converters. A couple of wind turbines went down. Honestly, I think spreading those out a little more might have been a slightly more effective strat. Easy for us to say from the spectator's chair, though. Chronopolized with some huge D-guns. Those welders are not cheap. I mean, they're not crazy expensive either, but they are certainly more expensive than your regular T1 units would be. You don't want to lose them for free. Oh, the rocket spiders are trying. They want that commander so badly. They're gonna get some hits off. Yeah, that's not bad. There we go. Starlight's firing away over here. Chronopolized, taking some hits. Those rocket spiders fire such a giant volley. Oops. A little bit of friendly fire there. The odds of them hitting a commander are pretty high. I'm seeing a lot of unupgraded metal extractors here. Kind of all over the place right now. Yeah, basically the entire backline right here is actually unupgraded. That's a huge oversight for the red team on the southern side. The blue team, pardon me, on the southern side. The red team has had their mechs upgraded basically this entire time. It's 4x the economy per mechs that you have upgraded. It's a huge jump. It's definitely well worth investing in. The Cyan commander apparently loses control as they tap out of the game right here on the southern side. Suddenly the bulls, the starlights, the sharpshooters are all rushing forward. Commander goes down, and so no longer is the threat of the D-gun present. And it means that there is suddenly a huge opening on the southern side to start rushing forward. Loads of metal to reclaim. Would love to see some res bots sent on up in that direction. Meanwhile, starlights, lightning tanks, and bulls all pushing forward right here for Victor 12, who is slowly but steadily creeping forward. The defensive units right here are effectively worthless against the starlights. The commander, of course, is going to take some heavy hits, and the bulls are effectively hard countered by the starlights. That's their primary use case here. Not to mention, of course, that there's also an entire company of other tanks included here. So we have the armor, we have the damage, we have the radar jamming as a nice little accompaniment as well. There's no reason why this green force shouldn't be able to push right on forward through here. Tanks going for the wraparound right now. Lightning tanks will make very short work of those, though. Ooh. Tank commander moving in. Ooh, can we get the D-gun on those starlights? Nice D-guns away right there. Kills the starlights. Oh, and the bull tank as well. 5%. Boom goes the commander, but already taking out several thousand metal worth of starlights and bulls. Definitely well worth the trade right there on that northern side. At some point, you gotta wonder how efficient those commanders have been. And when you take trades like that, it really becomes pretty obvious that they're super, super efficient into the late game. Obviously, the more expensive a unit is that the commander D-guns, the more efficient that they are overall. Shuriken stunning these units within range of the static defense is always very cool. More and more tanks rolling out here, though. The tank commander just going into a whole bunch of tanks. LRPC bearing down on that base. But this southern side has all but completely crumbled here. Bulls don't care about those twin LLTs, not really at all. The southern side is in shambles. Beamer turrets and pimples are a pretty nasty combination, though. Very effective at dealing with spam, of course, and also tearing apart the armor on those T2 units, most T2 units. Means this defense is going to be pretty unimpenetrable here for the red ticks that are swarming across. Anti-nuke does come up. Nuclear bombers being built right here by the blue commander. apparently hesitant about the way that this game is going and looking for an alternative solution right here. We're going to be building a couple of these nuclear bombers as well. Are we just going for one? Oh, that's so greedy. Going for one nuclear bomber is so greedy. We have the production to totally go into two. This one is going to be used defensively, and it's nice to clean up these bulls for sure. That is a huge use right here. Still, I can't help but wonder if this really is getting the value that it needs to.
Commander has died. Commander
looks like it
destroyed.
accidentally missed the starlight right there. It's trying to loop back around. Commander goes down, though. Not enough of those bulls were killed to stop this push. Ooh, okay, one of the starlights dies. The other two very badly banged up. Bulls sweeping on through on the southern side, though. Those sharpshooters are wonderful as well. A huge accompaniment here, because it does mean that the bulls, despite their high damage output, are going to be able to contend with even higher powers like T3 a lot easier. Shuriken eventually paralyzing a lot of this. The bomber going to town on all this, and the fighters... Pardon me. The fighters eventually pulled here to deal with all of that. My microphone is falling over as we speak. It fell in slow motion directly into my hands. It was the weirdest thing ever. Fighters cleaning out the airspace here is phenomenal. The pink commander's got to be pretty happy with the way that that battle just went over the airspace of the blue team. Suddenly realizing that there might be a huge potential to go for some serious bombing runs. And indeed, that's exactly what we're going to be headed for right here. The blue commander... actually, it looks like the pink commander is not aware of the fact that there's a giant blue base on this hillside. Oh, no. Oh, that hurts. Realizes there's a giant blue base over there, but doesn't actually have the forces in order to deal with it all. The ground-based anti-air is thick enough to deal with the fighters and the bombers. And what eventually gets through is a single bomber on a fight command here that will be shot down promptly by the defensive fighters being pumped out right now by the purple commander. Ultimately, a gigantic waste of resources right there, and an unfortunate one at that. Surely not what the pink commander was intending right there, but with a proper scout, now maybe has the ability to target down this little island on the hill up here. Couple of bombers to take out the arbalist, or maybe even an anti-air, pardon me, an anti-ground paralytics carrier. What are they called? Paralyzer. That's what it is. The paralyzer planes are very impressive. They are the heavy transport of the Armada faction, and they can fire a big EMP beam that can paralyze most units pretty effectively. It's powerful enough to even paralyze Titans in good enough numbers. I think it probably does about, I want to guess about 8% paralyzation to a Titan. They're very effective. Roughnecks out here as well as a decent alternative gunship. Armada has access to two different gunships. There's the Roughneck and the Hornet. Both of which very effective within their specialities, but the Roughnecks are more of a jack-of-all-trades, more of a general use case unit than the Hornets tend to be, much more of a single target kind of a unit. Both very good, though. Looks like we're gearing up for an engagement on this northern side as well. Starlights trying to chip away at this armor wall as much as they can. We've gone heavy enough into the Starlights of this game that I wouldn't mind seeing a pinpointer or two. We do have a nuclear missile silo building right here for the Orange Commander as well. Always cheeky whenever we see one of those coming up, because it does mean the front line has been essentially deprived of nearly 9,000 metal. What is that, 8,100? Yeah, so nearly 8,000, a little over 8,000 metal. Looks like with a nearly perfect surround as well, the red team does manage to jump on top of this encroaching wall of Starlights. That is a phenomenal trade. Exactly what the red team needed at this exact moment, because as soon as these static defenses start falling, this northern side turns into a bloodbath. Very effective work right there, shutting all that down. Pounders in the mix here are lovely as well. They're going to be great against these lightning tanks, just for the fact that they can paralyze them quite nicely. Well, not paralyze, they stun them, essentially. Are we moving into res? Yeah, we are.
Battle paused.
Oh, a little bit of a pause right there. Hold on. Hold on. Slowing the game down for a second so we can take a look across the map. Looks like there was some stuff that was shared. Looks like ultimately it's just a bunch of energy production for the yellow commander. Handed a bunch of wind turbines all over the place. And a couple of units. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, except the blue commander has tapped out of the game. Okay, well, what an OP take, if ever there was one here. The purple commander Spooter now largely in charge of the blue team in its entirety. Couple of commanders still up and running right here, namely Victor 12 as well as Potato von Habsburg. Jarion also still in the game here, but I don't see any units for that commander, so maybe waiting for the teammates to hand out some constructors. The blue team has lost faith. They really have, despite having a tremendous eco advantage of nearly 100%, over 100% in energy production, and it looked like flickering between about 40 and 30% metal advantage here, just based on the eco scaling alone. It's been wonderful right here for the the purple commander in the backline. Wouldn't mind seeing a reclaim on some of these wind turbines at this point, now that we've got the Aphis up and running. But this is a wonderful economy, certainly enough to start going into T3. We've also got just tons of static defense on the southern side. I mean, this is going to be unassailable, save for the forces of T3 long-range artillery pieces. Things like catapults, things like vanguards, things like Myrmidon. That's right, that's the Legion one. Resbots patching together whatever of this army that they can. Lightning tanks, starlights, all sorts of good stuff. The starlights here are actually great. Yeah. Starlight's already finding tremendous use here. Okay. I don't mind it. Resbots trying to resurrect whatever they can as quick as they can. Nuclear missile. Just charged. Sir. Ready and waiting. There it is. Where are we going to put it? If he sent it, I didn't see. He's still got it selected. He's still vying for a option here. Targeting solution not achieved. Purple Commander making plays in the meantime. We can't spend all our time looking at the nuke. We've got to take a look at these spiders that have pushed their way up onto this base right here. Managed to pop the fusion reactors. For the Blue Commander, that would have been a devastating hit. For the Purple Commander, it's like 1/8 of the economy. Bomber here. Taking a fusion reactor. Ooh, can they get the build power? Ooh, they do get the build power. Well, that's really annoying. Chainsaw eventually cuts down that bomber as well. We will reclaim those, which is nice. Those are 750 metal apiece, so worth reclaiming. But the Orange Commander, what are we going to do with the nuke? We've got it locked and loaded, chambered, and ready to fire, but we haven't used it yet. This is a prime target over here on this hillside, or just on north of that hillside. We've got some open area over here, and of course there's this giant area in the back that is un-anti-nuked. Requires quite a good bit of scouting in order to know exactly where you can put that nuke down at. The tank commander. Not nearly enough flak to deal with all this. We've got encroaching units here, the Pawn and Bull and Tick and Starlight and all the rest of it spam. Headed across the map right here. Effectively 3 commanders worth of weight brought down on just one. There's where the nuke went. What a waste. Killed a couple of units, but ultimately I don't think that really stopped this push in its tracks. Starlight's still going to tear this base apart. Pawn's still in the back line. Starlight, did I say Starlights already? I meant Jaguars. Jaguars tearing this base apart. Starlights will also tearing this base apart. Slightly differently, but also just as effectively. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that we've set ourselves into a weird situation here. Yeah. The blue team has almost achieved a refined power state. Like before, all the metal and resources and everything were sort of spread out, and so they weren't really being used effectively in one direction or another. They were kind of half being used in a bunch of different directions. Now it looks like all that power is being spread out, or rather is being concentrated into certain areas. Means the Purple Commander has all the initiative in the world to go ahead and start pumping out, for instance, a bunch of Titans. Now, I do believe Marauder might be a better choice here. Titan's never really a bad choice. If you can produce them, then they're very effective. They're the jack of all trades of T3 units. They're very good in pretty much any situation. But Marauders are specifically very good at crossing these little water barriers here. Another nuclear missile comes down. That one managing to find a target, by the way, does blow away those Starlights and finally clean all that up. A lackluster solution to an ever-encroaching problem here. Obviously, those units can be replaced. The nuclear missiles can always be recharged, I suppose, is the counter to that argument, but for now anyways, the red team, they have a slight lull in the engagement. Rocket spiders have been moving across, doing damage, firing away with their little rocket salvo launchers. To varying degrees of success, I would say. Yeah, we've got a couple more of them rolling across. This is a lot of metal to reclaim. I would love to see some air constructors moving out to reclaim all this, maybe even rebuild all this. And we've got the metal, time, and energy. The 3 resources and beyond all reason. Two brothers. Dipping their toes in the water here as these Titans walk forward into this shallow river, looking quite like Jaegers. Gypsy Danger and the other one. Can't remember its name. The one they put the Australians in. I'm really trying to think right now, but I can't remember. I'm really trying. That franchise is like one of my favorite big robot movie franchises, or rather single movie franchises with no sequels. So don't bother looking it up. The Titans are pretty menacing, aren't they? They look kind of like a refrigerator. Yeah. They're menacing if you're on a diet, I would say. They definitely look like a refrigerator is walking towards you. Like a linebacker with a refrigerator strapped to its back. They look quite nice. And maybe not as important as how they look as how they do. Obviously a terror on the front lines. They're pretty impossible to deal with unless you have exactly the right tools like, well, Juggernauts or other Titans or a million Razorbacks. Couple of Vanguard being produced right here. Oh, well, there's a nuke. Wow, cut away from that at just the wrong moment. Nuke takes out, well, the entire composition. Just showed all the units right there that they were all blown to smithereens. Did you miss it? It was like a magic trick. You just close your eyes like this. You go back. The units are gone. I assure you there was nothing there. I don't know what you're talking about. You sound crazy. Titan's gonna be a uncomfortable surprise on the front line here. We thought these were more Starlights, that's why we're engaging so aggressively with the Razorback. All of a sudden, it's a couple of these 10,000 metal, 13,000 metal a pop, heavy Stompas. As the Orcs would call them anyway. A third rolling out to the front here as well. We're just spamming Titans, that's so funny. I mean, I love it. This is a great use of your metal. Like, if you're just going to spam out units, at least spam out the very highest quality units you can. We're eventually going to make some Razorbacks. I think that's a wise decision right here. Making the Razorbacks for a little bit more map control, a little bit more area control on the map. Definitely not a bad decision right here. But man, I can't help but wonder what 10 Marauder making their way through this southern side and then up through this channel and then eventually into the backline base would have done. 2 laboratories producing air units right here. We've got a patrol of radar planes. Making their sweep across the map, not bad. Just taking a look out for anything that might be coming their way, I suppose. What are we going to do about the Titans? I guess we're moving the commander in. 2 commanders apiece for each of these teams means obviously the red team has to be quite careful about the commanders they spend defending. We don't have many wreckages to resurrect here, it looks like. Pretty much all just reclaimed or stomped to death. We need radar jammers. We need long-distance radar jammers in order to cover this commander. Oh. Razorbacks keeping the spam off so the commander can get in range. Ooh, fires off the D-gun. 1 Titan, 2 Titan, 3 Titan. Ooh. No Titan for you. It's 2 Titans for that red commander. Not the trade, well, not the defense, really, that the red team needed. That still leaves 2 Titans here on the front that are going to be quite a menace to deal with here. The Razorbacks are tasked now with engaging against these bad boys. It's a lot of work they've got ahead of them. A whole bunch of abductors have been produced as well. Air battle does go in favor of the Hot Pink Commander, who manages to shoot those planes out of the sky. Loses the abductors for it, though, and those were effectively the answer to the Titans that were moving forward right here. Resbots, they're trying their best. Can we destroy this? Can we just destroy the wreckage? I would love to see a target fire on the wreckage just to make sure that it stays dead. Starlight on the hill here also firing away quite nicely. Actually getting a wonderful trade against these guys. Shaving off several percent per blast. Titan pretty good, huh? Oh, there goes the base. The bombers pushing through past the air defenses. Saw it at the very last second. The orange base goes up in smoke. The remnants of an eco Oh, the E-converter is popping here as well. Chain reacting into this brown base. That hurts. Red commander with a nice eco as well, but yeah, that's firmly cements the advantage right now for the blue team. Heavily committed to those bombers, which have been building for a good long while. A couple Marauder now rolling out of the laboratory here for the powder blue commander. Are these slow? Why do these look so slow to me? Have Marauders been slowed down? I noticed that the Javelin were quite slow in one of the other casts. Maybe everything was slowed down. I'll have to take a look through the changes at some point. Here, I'll put it up on screen for just a second in case anybody wants to look through it. I saw a bunch of Legion units on there, so I'm pretty confident that's what happened. Starlight doing its very best to try and blast down a whole bunch of these units, but there's really nothing they can do. Just too much HP and all these thousands and thousands and thousands of metal of T3 units. EMP bomber's trying. It's better than nothing. All of this, technically speaking, EMP-able. Okay. I mean, it's too late. It's just far too late. Yeah. The blue units push forward here, and despite losing so many of their team members so much quicker, they managed to focus all that economy into a couple of key places, like a bunch of Titans, to crack the defensive line and steal the win in this game beyond all reason. What a beautiful attack through the southern side that eventually was not capitalized on. That means the blue players take the win here. Spooter doing the very most here. Surprised not to see them earning the golden cow, but producing the most resources and taking the most damage and destroying enemy resource production and winning the game. Thanks a ton for watching, everybody, and I sure hope you enjoyed. And if you did, of course, feel free to like and subscribe and join the Brainworks community, where we're hosting a whole bunch of fun games basically every Saturday. If it's not a tournament, then we're hosting our own thing and usually playing with a bunch of the wacky units that I'm sure a bunch of you would love to come and see. So feel free to tune in for that. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, though, and I will see you in the very next match of Beyond All Reason.